for business. Can you give her a hand, please? Mrs. Florence Harrigan taught typewriting. How many of you did typewriting? Oh, how many of you know about typewriting? We know about EDPM. So younger folks, before there was EDPM, there was typewriting. And God bless that undo button, because if it wasn't for undo, we would be using a lot of... I think that's the most marvelous key on the laptop, undo. She taught typewriting, so let's get a little bit worse. She also taught shorthand. How many of you down here know what shorthand is? Oh, boy, that was something else. Only Mrs. And office procedures at the Valley Secondary School and at ALHCS from 1982 to 2003. That deserves a special award, doesn't it? I mean, a special hand. She was assistant examiner in typewriting for CXC from 1986 to 1990 and examiner from 1990 to 2006. She was a member of the CXC Business Education Committee and worked on the syllabus for office administration. But very dear to us, to her, is that she was a very, to us, is that she was the very first HOD for business. And she assumed this position around 1987. We stand to be corrected a little bit. Mrs. Harrigan, whom we affectionately call Flo, everybody say that? Flo, started a work experience program for students of office procedures, arranging for them to go to business establishments for 2 weeks prior to writing their exams. So a lot of you go on job training. Can you please raise your hand, Ms. Harrigan? She is the one who started it in the business department for office procedures, and we are so thankful. So many students have gotten jobs, and so many people have gotten exposure, and we are grateful that Mrs. Harrigan started that 2 weeks before they wrote their exams. She would arrange for them to go just to do typing and office procedures. Some students were offered employment at the establishments, and afterwards the guidance counseling department took it over, and they opened it up to all the other students. As senior teacher examinations, Ms. Harrigan coordinated and successfully implemented the first internal examinations for students doing TVET. The TVET teachers were asked to prepare their 2 examinations tests of similar difficulty. She chose one, she put them in an envelope, put their name and the exam dates on it. The envelopes were given to the chief education officer, who kept them at her office until they were needed, and this was done just like CXC exams were done. And the students were registered, given registration numbers, and issued their own personal timetable, and she coordinated all of that. She saw the pride on the students' faces when they were given the same treatment as CXC students. Mrs. Harrigan's side note to us today is, I have warm memories of our teachers, concerts, picnics, Prickly Pear Island trips, and Christmas parties. Can you please give Mrs. Harrigan a big hand? Thanks for taking pics. Let me say, Mrs. Harrigan taught me office procedures. I remember upstairs where the electronics lab is, that was a home ec building, office procedures was up there. And Mrs. Harrigan used to write, dictate a lot of notes, and we had to write. And then the first test we did, I remember me and Rosanna, the first test we did, we were like, why we got 7 to 8? Why we couldn't get an A? And then we realized that Mrs. Harrigan used to give you notes, and then she used to tell you, okay, you can take a break if you want. You don't have to write this down. And then the very thing that she said you don't have to write down, you better write it down. And we realized those would come on the test. And boy, we started whooping them A's inside of office procedures. That was a little sneaky move she used to do. We are thankful to her. Our last, but by no means least, honoree this morning is joining us online. Mrs. Audrey Hennis. Give her a hand. I believe somebody is here to receive on her behalf, Marissa or Felicia. No? Okay, I'll ask Teacher Celestine to receive on. Thank you very much. 30 plus years of changing lives. September 1970, she was employed as a teacher by the GOA, Government of Anguilla. She started teaching at Road Primary School for 2.5 weeks, and then she went to VSS. In 1975, she went to university. She then taught, during 1970 to 1975, she taught English, literature, scripture, and here's an old one, needlecraft. She also taught art, and she also taught PE. Can we get our teachers to do all of those 5 today? Not in her initial startup. That was 1975. In 1976, she moved to the College of Virgin Islands, CVI. It wasn't UVI, it was CVI. She did no scholarship, no lending. She just walked out on faith and prayers and went to CVI. In 1980, she graduated with a business administration degree. She came back and was reemployed as a teacher. She began teaching principles of accounts. She came into the business department in 1982. She then became a marker at CXC from 1984 to 88. In 1986, she went to Canada at Nipissing University and graduated with a BA in education. She came back 1989. She started marking at CXC for principles of accounts. Mrs. Hennis was the head of the department for modern languages, not for business, but she worked heavily in the business department. She was my accounting teacher for a little while, and then she left. And so we are grateful to her today. She says to us, especially, many of my past POA students told me that I have been a beacon of light in their chosen career. I am honored to be a recipient of that and other tangible accolades. I treasure them all. Especially, I treasure a pendant inscribed with #1 teacher. Can you give Mrs. Audrey Hennis a round of applause, please? Mrs. Celestine, our ALHCS board chairman, chairperson, will accept on her behalf. I'm now going to call Mrs. Rita Carty, our principal, and she will give a few remarks.
Good morning to everyone, and I endorse our protocol, and I am happy to stand here having just honored several people who are part to me of my life, not just as colleagues, having worked in the same place, but who I consider as part of my family. And I like that Mrs. Harrigan recalled all our picnics and social activities, because that was a really great way that we really bonded and we, felt like all one. So it's good to see them progress to another stage and for us to remember them and acknowledge them here today. I'm very pleased to be part of that. And although Mrs. Phillip is not here with us, I want to tell her, if she's watching, or whoever's representing her, Mrs. Hill, that a motivating sentence that she told me just before she left continues to be something that I look to for strength every day, especially in my new role. So she is still ever with me, and that's because of her having said an encouraging word at a very important moment. So all of us who are here today, I want us to remember that we are here because of what has gone before. I'm sure those persons who are honored today never imagined such a thing as the Ethne Richardson Expo, and it's in its 2nd year. So it in itself is already in the annals of history. But what you are doing today is going to have an influence on the future. So think of it in that way. You heard about 1970-something, 1980-something. Most of you were not even in existence at those times. You heard of the Valley Secondary School, the precursor to our awesome school. So please continue to make positive contributions now in the present, and you will be having a legacy in the future. Thank you all for being here, and I'm very happy to have been here as well.
So to Mrs. Phillip, to Ms. Hennis, all our virtual audience, we want to say thank you. We want to say thank you for joining us. At this time, we could not do this event without a sponsor, and we want to be acknowledge and thank the Anguilla Development Board for stepping in to help us out at short notice. And I'm going to call the manager of the ADB, Mrs. Althea Hodge, just to say a few short words this morning. Please give her a hand on behalf of all of us here at the ALHCS.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Board of Directors and the staff of the Angular Development Board, I want to commend the Business Department for this initiative and also for this year its recognition of those outstanding individuals who've contributed so much to this school. I want to also commend the entire management of the school, in addition to the business department. I also want to commend all the students, the teachers, and all the past students who are taking part in this expo. I think this is such a commendable effort on your part, as well as that of the school. And I must say, I have to add here, Avanella, that I think this week has been absolutely wonderful. It has really been a great initiative and strides for Albina Lake Hodge Comprehensive School. So much positive things came out of this week. We know that there's a lot of negatives that happen, but this is very, very special, and I hope that it grows from strength to strength and continue to play a major role in our annual calendar in our community, not just for the school, but in terms of the entire community. So I wish all of you success with your endeavors and commend the school once again. So all the best. Thank you.
Thank you. And please, your young startup entrepreneurs, if you ever need a small little loan, Anguilla Development Board, that's their role. That's one of, that's one of their tasks that they're responsible for. Now, if you notice, the name of this expo is the Ethne Richardson Entrepreneurship Expo. And last year, we did our grand opening and honored Mrs. Richardson. She is here this morning to say it's officially open. So let's welcome Mrs. Richardson again to the same stage as last year. Please come up and declare the expo open.
Good morning, everyone. Again, I'm humbled and very grateful that the school would decide to recognize me and have named the exposition after me. All of you entrepreneurs, I give you good words. Necessity is the mother of invention, and a lot of entrepreneurship activities can come out of necessity. And this year, last year being this COVID year, we had a lot of opportunities where people were forced to start up new careers, new entrepreneurial activities. And I would wish all of the entrepreneurs in here and further afield a good word and keep up your good endeavors. And I would like, finally, to declare the second annual Ethne Richardson Entrepreneurship Exposition officially opened.
Thank you. Please give her a hand. I failed to mention that between the graduates